Call the Grosville Airport Commerce Park Commission to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Mans, would you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 2 is roll call. First, Mr. Moran is here. Mr. Rathel is excused. Mr. Van Oz. Here. Mr. Tanova. Here. Mr. Mans. Here. Mr. Hornby. Here. Mr. Filarski. Item number 3 is any additions or deletions to the agenda. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Mr. Van Oz. Support. Support by Mr. Tanova to approve the agenda as submitted. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes of the June 20th, 2019 meeting. Motion by Mr. Van Oz. Support by Mr. Filarski. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 5 is the financial report for June 2019. Everyone should have their summary in their packet. We have revenue generated for or budgeted for the year of $887,035. Our year-to-date revenue is $226,082, which equals about 25% of our budget. Our expenditures budgeted for the year are $887,035, and our year-to-date encumbrances and expenditures are $190,916. That equals about 21% of our budget. Our capital reserves as of the end of June are $615,121, and our past due rent summary as of July 10th is $3,385. With that, Mike, is there anything you want to point out in the financial report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not too much. Everything is tracking very well. You can see right on track there on the percentages. Trying to build up the capital reserves a little bit, obviously with our building 63 subdivide and 61, 62 renovations coming along. We're going to have that expense removed from there. So the only other note on the past due rent summary, you'll notice that list is a little shorter. I've had one of the storage yard account that was making monthly payments. They have 2 left to make, so that falls off the past due 60-day policy. But they're still on there. But the final 2 payments will be made. Everything else, all that was on track. So you can see I think our last meeting, the past due rent was somewhere around $6,000.
Any comments or questions for Mike? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mans.
Support.
Supported by Mr. Filarski to approve the June 2019 financial report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 6 is the manager's report, Building 63 and 6162 subdivide and renovation update. Mike?
Just a brief update. As the Commission's aware, the Township Board approved the project. So right now they have started some, I would call it like investigation work. The contractor subs are in, the electrician's in, they're pulling permits. With the building department, we are finalizing the contract as well. The architect didn't have a contract on hand, so we pulled an AIA contract, and the prime contractor supplied an agreement as well. The attorney reviewed both and told us to move forward with the AIA. So that's getting filled out by Sarnacki and Associates. I have it in my hands. I'm going to give it a final review, and then we'll execute that as well. So the paperwork's all in order. Everything is on track. So going well. I think the electrical work's going to start now, probably last for another 2 weeks, and then they're going to start the demolition process in 63 to prepare the 8 units. So tracked along well.
Have they pulled permits, or are they pulling permits, Mike?
They are submitted to the DPW department for review, so we're waiting on them to give it the rubber stamp. We had our In addition, as I stated at the last meeting, in addition to our building department reviewing, I'm going to have our engineer, C.E. Rains, do several inspections throughout the process to make sure the drawings and the product we're getting is accurate for what the bid is and everything's up to snuff. So they'll spot check that a few times and kind of do a final as well as the building department.
Sure. Mike, did Authority's going to look over all these contracts?
Correct. It's already reviewed the AIA contract. He made the recommendation to use the AIA contract that was supplied.
And when do you think you'll have those signed?
They're sitting in my office, so I'll probably have them. I'm going to give them a final review myself tomorrow and then sign them.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we will move on to item number 7, which is our action items. The first item is item A is the marketing coordinator contract renewal, and we have a resolution in front of us that reads: the Groseal Commerce Park Commission hereby approves the extension of an employment contract for Angela Sukockas on a part-time basis. The hourly rate shall be her existing rate of $24.30 an hour at a maximum of 8 hours per week. The additional term shall be for 6 months, at which point the position will be re-evaluated.
Make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Van Oz. Support by Mr. Tenova. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Hornsby.
It's supposed to be 28 hours per week.
I'm sorry, 8 hours per week. Yeah.
8 hours a week.
Me too.
I don't think that's happening.
That's under the
Thank you.
history, purpose, and explanation, not in the resolution. Angela is here tonight. Angela, you want to say anything to the commission, or?
I can give you an update kind of on what we've done.
Sure, come on up.
Sure.
Hello. Thanks for having me tonight. Just to give you an update on a few of the things that we've put together, we kind of focused on creating a little bit of energy around the airport. We had a very mild presence at the Island Fest for the first time in a while. Wasn't anything too crazy, just something that we could put together, so we had a presence. So just to remind everyone that the airport is here, and that's where the Island Fest is located, embracing them. Put together a newsletter to kind of communicate to the airport hangar tenants and the current tenants about what the projects are that are going on and what's coming up. We put together some new apparel, which hasn't been updated in a little while, with the new logo and an updated imprint of the NASGI logo as well. So some new embroidery, and also we'll have like a silk screen type of version of that. We had a great turnout, I think, for the fly-in. The first time we've hosted a fly-in in a while. We had over 200 guests. 10 guest pilots came in. Everyone said that I think 8 out of 10 said that they found out about it through the app, through the social fly-in app that we placed it on. So I think that was a success. We had a lot of good feedback come from that. Let's see, we're in the planning phases still for the airport movie night that's coming up on August 24th, and we're coming up with some good formal communication to send out to prospective tenants that have entertained the idea of leasing spaces now that we've got the subdivide approved. And then we're really going to kind of hit the ground running with, now that we have it approved, and we're going to start the construction with marketing that. So any questions, anything, about what I've been working on, or any of the direction we've taken, or?
Sure. Mr. Filarski.
I think going forward, I think I'd like to see some things defined, with some type of measurables, like what is our goal, what are we trying to attain. We've got these lease units, for example, are going to be available. What are we shooting for tenancy wise? How fast, and what your expectations are. And I guess, I'm looking for just more specific goals in some way to measure them, and just be accounted for, So,
Sure.
Like a lot of things, like for example, what I was thinking about this kind of grinded me. It doesn't grind me. It's just something I thought could have been, looked at a little bit differently. Like for example, the drive-in night. This could have been something that the airport actually could have made money off of if this would have been flipped around and it was put on by the rec department. So, I guess I think that everybody on the island knows the airport's here, and I just want to know exactly where we're getting at. What is our goal?
I think in terms of the airport movie night, the goal, the strategy going into that was to create that awareness and bring the community out for a simple event. So kind of just to bring everybody out. We had talked about potentially selling popcorn, selling apparel, things like that to bring money in terms of going toward the Memorial Fund, but it was more of a community-focused event. I would embrace measurables. I don't think at 8 hours a week that's probably going to come from me. I think that should probably come from you all. I think the direction that I'm heading in is how I had presented it in the beginning, and as it was presented from Mike, and I would absolutely embrace any measurables or any goals. It's always easier for me to come back up and stand in front of anybody, and my entire career has been based on that. You get performance reviews. It makes it easier to understand what your direction is instead of kind of going in scattered ways. But I think, with all due respect, I think that would probably come from, you all or Mike. I don't think.
And I think we just want to use your time wisely and have a focus and see progress. Because if I'm asked by somebody else, which way are we going? I can have a clear answer. Hey, this is what we're able to do. It's money well spent, and you understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you need more from us, then maybe that's something we can talk about.
Sure. Anything else? Nothing?
Mr. Chair, if I may, my only comment, I think at this point we do need to kind of redo or relook at our direction and plan. I mean, I think the next few months should be heavily based on the Commerce Park and the new facilities that are going to be available. That's something that definitely we can measure. I mean, we're going to know how many leases we hold within 4 or 5 months, and it's going to come from my effort and Angela's effort as well. So, I mean, that's something I think that I can get a measure on and report back to. But yeah, definitely my direction with the marketing at this point is we'll still do the airport event for public. And I mean, that was never meant to be when I gave Angela the direction for that and we kind of established that event was never in my mind a revenue generator. I mean, that's not something I was looking to make 10 grand off of or anything along those lines. It was more of, I gave her direction, let's do 2 events, let's do a tenant event and a public event. It's just been so many years since we've done something like that. It's pretty minimal cost to us, and maybe we'll break even on doing some revenue stuff, but my goal wasn't to use that as a generation. I mean, we've been doing pretty well as with photo shoots and video shoots and that kind of stuff as well. So, but again, the direction I think the airport and Commerce Park should be taken from a marketing aspect is to focus on that building and make sure the money starts flowing in.
Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item number 7B, which is the USFW lease approval.
Sure.
Mr. Van Oz.
I think we need to vote.
Correct. I was going to ask if we'd take a
Thank you for reminding me that. We've got a motion by Mr. Van Oz, supported by Mr. Hornby, to approve the marketing coordinator contract renewal. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Now on to item number 7B. That's the USFW lease approval. We have a resolution in front of us that reads, based upon the recommendation from the Groseville Airport Commerce Park manager, the Groseville Airport Commerce Park Commission hereby approves a lease between the United States Fish and Wildlife Department and Groseville Municipal Airport. A formal lease from the GSA is attached, or for the GSA is attached. Terms of the proposed lease agreement are listed in the history, purpose, and explanation section of this resolution.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Van Oz, supported by Mr. Manns. Mike, we're talking about a 6-month lease.
Correct.
And any expectation that they may be there longer?
I would say with how their building's going in Gibraltar and Trenton and the delays that they've had and continues delayed, I think they're going to extend past the, if I had to guess, I would say it's going to be longer than the original 6 months. We kind of did a similar deal with Homeland Security. If you guys recall, it was originally like a 1-year lease, and then we did down to a 6-month, and then we just let it go month to month with a long notice. So they've been told by EPA, and I don't know whether this is an indicator for the EPA. We still haven't had any formal communication from them on a deadline of moving out of that facility. But they've been told by the EPA that they need to relocate by August. So that's why they've been looking in the downriver area. And I know Mr. Hornby actually directed me towards their real estate agent, or the GSA agent in, I think it's Minnesota, that was looking for space in the downriver area. Their short time frame, they're kind of lucky on our end that we were already in the SAM, which is the federal database to be able to lease to a federal entity. We were already in it for Homeland Security. You have to have a DUNS number, and it's a pretty complex process to get in that system. So the fact that we're already in it is an easy plug for them, and that kind of sealed the deal with the lease. So you'll see that the 6 month, and then they have to give us a 90-day notice to quit. So we're guaranteed 3 months at least. If it's in the middle of the winter, what we're going to do with the building, and give us some time for that.
How many people are going to work there?
I'd say between 20 and 30. They have some people in the field and then office staff, so it's not going to be 20 or 30 full time. But I mean, I would say probably like 12 regular, and then they have a lot of moving people that'll be kind of in and out with some trailers in the parking lot and trucks and stuff like that. So they'll have access to the front lot and the side lot on building 61, 62. The total office space is noted there is 6,700. They're going to take 5,400. That's just kind of where the numbers settled. The rate is fairly higher than our normal office lease rate, so it's a wash. I mean, we're going to have some dead space in that there's no way we're going to be able to lease out. But even with the reduced space and the square footage number, it's better than our standard rate. Now, the facility's obviously been kind of shuttered for a year and a half on that office space, so it's going to need a deep cleaning. There's cobwebs and some bugs in the corners and stuff like that, and the carpets need to be cleaned. So I need to get that coordinated and done before they're moving in, which I've making moves. I have a meeting tomorrow to get a price on that. So we need to spend a little bit of money to get the place tuned up. There's probably there's 4 HVAC units in there that are kind of a residential unit. 2 are working very well. I think 1 just needs a part to get up and running. The other one might be replaced. So I'm going to get a number on those. But we'll move forward with that and try to get it done quickly for them.
Questions for Mike?
I have a question.
Sure. Mr. Filarski.
So, what do you estimate the cost to? I know you're just getting numbers, but the cost to get the HVAC units up and get the place cleaned. And
If I had to throw a number out there, I'd probably say between 10 and 15,000 if we have to replace that HVAC unit that I think needs to be done. I'd like to do some gardening and lawn work over there as well, and kind of get the place dressed up, especially with us moving the storage in there. It's a good opportunity to have some of those expenses done.
So you're looking at netting maybe 25,000 for
If they only stay 6 months, yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we have a motion by Mr. Van Oz, supported by Mr. Mans. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Carries. Item number 8 is subcommittee reports. We have none tonight, so we'll move into item number 9, which is our executive session, potential storage facility in the Commerce Park.
If they want to go off air for the executive session, because it's closed, and then we can reopen.
I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Mann, supported by Mr. Van Oz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries.